Well, welcome everyone to today's episode of TMI Advice You Didn't Want. We are going to be picking up where we left off on our last podcast, which is basically what is the fucking meaning of life? What are we fucking doing here? And I think that this question, nobody can really answer this question. But I know I think about this constantly because I truly think that we're here to learn and we're here to grow. And there's so much there's so many ways we can go with this. So in case we haven't met, my name is Karen.
And my name is Ashley. And honestly, that was my whole viewpoint until yesterday. And now I'm at a complete loss. So,
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about that because what was it that I said? Because I was just listening to one of your voice messages and you were saying, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "What did I say? I don't even remember anymore." I do remember, but I'm like, "What did I say that would make that kind of response?" So I'm curious. Let's go.
well, I can't remember exactly how you said it, but you were talking about how we come to Earth to learn these lessons, and part of it is to like remember what we already know.
Hmm.
And then having those two back to back, it's kind of like when you watch, like, I used to be like a very go hard Christian. And so I can't remember what it was. Oh, we were talking about pro-life. And I was like, oh yeah, I used to be like such a huge like advocate of pro-life and all that kind of stuff. And I was talking to my partner about it. And because he was asking me like, how do you know that stuff? And then it's like then I watch all the TikToks now that make fun of Christianity, of it's like this is the Jesus that you talk about and then you condemn me, or like your God wants you to go to a mountain and kill your son. Like, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of TikToks where it's just like, wow, like that is like absolutely truth. And I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? You know? Because I was a first generation Christian, if you would. Like
Hmm.
my family, my parents were not. My mom's side, some people were like, we believe in God kind of thing, or praying can be a good thing, or we go to heaven when we die, but like nothing more than that. And then my dad's side, some of them are Catholic, but it's like Catholic traditional, like how you make fun of it, where you do whatever the fuck you want and then you repent and you go to heaven and you're good.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I was like the first like Christian where it was like I go to church every weekend. I read my Bible every day. I do devotions. I do Bible study. I do missions trips, like all the things. Like that was like very unheard of in my family. And it was like, how did I pick this all up? And so it feels like this has kind of been like a weird progression in the sense that just last week I was talking to my mom and my daughter, and then eventually my mom and my aunt about like reincarnation and how you can come back to life and choose how you come back to life and choose your parents and all that kind of stuff. So this is how I've always thought is we choose our parents, we choose our life, we choose that what lessons we're coming down to learn. And that's what my mentors have always taught as well. But if we are connected to infinite intelligence, and if we're coming to Earth and then having to remember that we're connected and awaken in our 3D body, to infinite intelligence, which we already know, and remembering what we already know, then what the fuck is the point of learning lessons? And it's like, wait, these don't make sense together.
Hmm.
It doesn't work in my brain anymore because
I broke you. Sorry.
like if I as my infinite being, before I choose this earth and this body and these parents and this life journey, knows everything. Like, why would I come back? Like, it would be like me right now being like, ooh, I want to go back to being my 2-year-old self, learning how to say the ABCs. Like, n there's no purpose in that. Like, I know my ABCs. I know my ABCs. So I'm like, that doesn't make sense anymore. And it's kind of like my Christian journey of, um, okay, Jesus died for us so I don't go to hell. And I'm just so lucky that I am in the right continent, that Jesus is the God that I'm taught about and all that kind of stuff. And I'm so lucky, and it's just so coincidental because I'm not a Jew and all this kind of stuff anyways. And so it's like that makes no sense. And so I had that moment on our podcast yesterday where I'm like, okay, this makes no sense.
Mhm.
What is the purpose that I would come here to learn if I'm infinite intelligence?
I have had this thought so much. I'm so glad we're talking about this because this has been something that honestly has bothered me ever since I had that like awakening of like,
Mhm,
okay, like, but what's the point if I already knew this shit?
mhm,
Why am I here? And I really still do believe that infinite intelligence. Ooh, I'm getting chills as I'm about to say this. Infinite intelligence was asking, what else is there? Is there more? And I do think that there is always more, and there's always more understanding and that deeper understanding. And I think that that is what that makes sense to me. That works for me because why would I be so curious of a person if infinite intelligence, I'm that reflection of that infinite intelligence is going, okay, I have created XYZ, I can do anything, but is there more? What other possibilities could there be? And I do think that that's part of how come we decide to incarnate at certain times, because I do think too that there are infinite me's that are also alive right now, because time is not a thing, that are in other timelines, in other like years back, years forward. There's infinite me's that are doing things currently, and I think that when we all merge together, we become that infinite intelligence, right? And that infinite I'm probably, this probably doesn't make sense to people as I'm talking about this, but for me, like sitting in meditation and going, what the fuck is the purpose of all of this? If I already know this shit, what is the purpose of it for me to like be here right now? And I do think like what I said yesterday was like breaking it down. I really think infinite intelligence wanted to know, well, how do I break this down so that I can actually see the step by step? And can I break it down even slower? And I do think that oh, I'm getting big chills, and I've never thought about this before, but I do think that there are other dimensions that are more dense than our dimension that probably slows it down even more so that you can really see on that microscopic level of, but how does it work? I kind of look at my brother whenever I think of like how does it work, because he's the kind of person that when he was a child would look at a computer and say, how does it work? And he would tear it apart and put it back together because he wanted to know, okay, what makes this thing click? And I do think that infinite intelligence looks at things like that too, where it's like, but I want the fucking detail of it. I want to know that I know and see the step by step. And for me, that makes a whole lot of sense having a brother like him, especially because like most people like myself will look at something and be like, oh, it's great that that microwave works to cook my food. It's great that this Zoom session is able to put my picture on screen. But someone like my brother is like, yeah, but what makes that do that? I want to know that I know how to do it. And I really think that infinite intelligence was like, wait, I want to know that I know. And as infinite intelligence, as we learn, infinite intelligence grows as well. And this is the kind of stuff that I feel like every time I have like a really profound experience in meditation, I feel like I get confirmation of what I'm saying right now as like, no, that's the growth that you were looking for because you were curious. How do I do this on a deeper level? How do I understand love more? How do I understand, really, that's what it comes down to. How do I understand love more? Because there really is nothing else to more deeply understand, in my opinion, because love is what creates, love is what infinite intelligence is. And I do think every time I have an experience with infinite intelligence and infinite intelligence and I merge and I experience that love, I'm like, holy shit, there can't be more. And then it happens again and it's more. And I'm like, holy shit, how is there more? How? And I really think that that is the question that infinite intelligence was asking in the beginning, in the quote unquote beginning, when it was like, well, but is there more? And how can I experience more of it? So that may not make any sense to anybody because this doesn't logically, in my opinion, doesn't logically make any fucking sense at all. And I completely understand the conundrum that you were in because I have been there many times until I finally went, you know what? I don't need to know, and I'm okay with not knowing too. And I had to get to that point in Christianity too, because I was very much like you. Not that I was first generation Christian, but I was very much like you, and I was like, this is what I believe. And there were a lot of things that were counter to it, but I had to let it go at a certain point because at a certain point, it's like, okay, then where do I start believing something? Where do I start holding on to something? And this is why I really love what my husband says now, because when he was a Christian, he's like, I held on so tightly to my beliefs. Now I have my hand open, and whatever falls in my hand right now is what I'm going to hold on to, and whatever falls away is okay. And I don't have to hold my hand closed tight on that belief anymore. I can be okay with creating the change that needs
Yeah.
to happen with it. So anyways, that's where I come with it. So I'm curious what you think now, like what your thoughts.
Well, to be honest, I had that thought at the end of our podcast and then I flipped it off. Like
Mm,
I didn't dive into it more.
okay.
And when I sent you the voice recording this morning, I did say like I'm not going to dive into it right now. I'm going to do it on the podcast. I'm going to see where it goes on the podcast because um who knows, right?
Yeah.
And it's fun to have those exploratory conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy them, especially with my daughter, and that kind of stuff. Like, because she is a Therian, so she believes that she had a past life experience as a fox and a past life experience as a lynx. She has memories of that, of those past lives, and she um in this moment, she is human, but she loves to explore those past lives in this moment and like reminisce of them kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
Um, and so like to me that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Fundamentally, I disagree with it.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was having this conversation with her. And I said, from my perspective, and that doesn't mean it's right. This is my perspective.
Right.
Because the majority of the people in her life just think she's crazy
Yeah.
and is like, like, oh, this is like everyone's trans and everyone's like, it's weird to be just straight and all that kind of stuff, right? Like it's like the thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of her friends are Arthurian and a lot of friends like talk about that and it's just like it's interesting. And so it's like when I was a kid I was pretending to be a dog and a horse and playing house and all that kind of stuff like for sure. And like even now as an adult I love play pretend and dress up and all that stuff. So like I have other friends parents that are like very concerned with them like wearing tails or doing quads and that kind of stuff. For those people that are watching this and have no fucking clue what I'm talking about, that is okay.
Yeah, because I don't know that didn't know that this was a trend. I'm learning that it's a trend right now, so I had no idea.
Like it's a very big thing. And like there's like competitions where people pretend to be horses and they jump over jumps and like things like that. Like it's really weird. But yeah, so my daughter has a tail too and like ears and like she'll wear them sometimes to school or throughout the day. Her and my youngest, they love playing quads, which is four, like they play on all fours. Oops. So they like run around and like they'll walk through the house as if they're an animal. Like they'll walk through the house on all fours and then jump onto the couch on all fours. And it's like, what child has not pretended to be an animal at
Right.
one point?
Yeah.
Um, they take it further because they practice these mannerisms. It's like method acting for animals, like kind of like watching the Cats musical, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all fun. And like, so there's like the whole people that are like, oh my God, they're gonna start using a litter box and identify as a cat, and it's not that at all. And so they just have fun with it, and it's they read books about cats and they enjoy that, and they all have like a spirit animal, which I love spirit animals too. So there's so many aspects that I can relate to. I just don't feel like I have past life as an animal. And so, anyways, I was telling her, I'm like, I don't think that you could have had a past life as a fox or a lynx based on my belief systems. And that doesn't mean that you couldn't have. My belief system is just different than yours. And so I believe that as humans, we, not all, but most of us, are I am power. I don't believe that everyone has the ability to have the I am creation. I do think there are other entities that are in human form, but we are creators. And I said to her, I don't think, because energy cannot be created or destroyed, I don't think that you could be a fox and then reincarnate as a human and all of a sudden have that I am power. And I don't think that you would ever go from a human to a fox because a fox doesn't have that same I am power. Spiritual powers, spiritual understandings, like I think there's great wisdom in animals, but it's not the same. They're not creators in my personal beliefs. And so I said, I think what is more is we're all connected from like Mother Earth, and like we're connected to the rivers, the trees, the ocean, the plants, and the animals. And so I think that you have these flashbacks because you are choosing to be connected to these animals and one with them. So you're having these flashbacks as if you were them because you are one with them in nature. And so that's my beliefs is that we can't reincarnate in other things. But I know there are some spiritual leaders that think that if we have a really hard life one year or one existence, that it's like, fuck that shit. Next time I'm coming back as a rock.
Oh my God.
But my aunt was saying, and I can't remember who the person is, Doris or Dolores. It's a famous person. I'm pretty sure she's the one that makes these tarot cards, or that's Doreen, so I'm probably wrong. But anyways, there's a spiritual teacher that my aunt follows that is apparently very popular that I don't know enough about. But I believe her initials are DC also. And that's what she has said is that like if you have a really hard life, you'll come back the next as a rock or something easy, so you can just have an easy peasy life. And I'm like, mm-mm. Like
Yeah,
in
that
my
doesn't quite make sense. Yeah.
no, in my understanding, like there are different entities and we have different abilities, and I don't know a lot about it, so this is me speaking from just my gut. Like you've talked about entities that come to you like in your meditation or like the blue beings, I think.
Mhm, mhm.
Um and
Those are
so
very high frequency beings that they will not lower their frequency to a certain point. You have to raise your frequency high enough in order to experience them. And I'm
so
not saying that to make myself feel better. I'm just saying that that literally is just the way it is. They can only go so far with their energetics to be able to lower to the frequency of this dimension. So,
yeah, and so my beliefs would be that we can't reincarnate as one of those entities because they're a different energy than us. And so, and they couldn't reincarnate as us. We have different energy. So yes, you can raise your vibrational frequency, but in the sense of like energy cannot be created or destroyed, like a fox is going to come back as a fox. A human is going to come back as a human. The blue beings, I don't know what they're called, are going to come back as blue beings. And then there's evil entities, and they're going to come back as evil entities. And I don't think we can morph, per se. And so that's just my personal opinion. And I have done zero diving into it or talking with people that actually are professionals and actually have devoted their life in researching that. So I could be very, very wrong. As you were talking, I was just like, what makes sense? Because I think that there's a lot of historical truth in like the Bible and different things like that. And so I'm like, this is what makes sense to me at this moment, literally, because it came to me while you were talking on this podcast, is that we are choosing to come here to this earth, to be a part of the spiritual warfare battle. Because there are evil entities here that are destroying the world. And Just like those blue beings are here to help humans evolve and raise their vibration. I don't know anything about them. You've only spoke to them, and that's what you've told me. Um, so that's based off of your information. And so I believe that there are beings here that are sucking energy from humans and destroying our earth and all that kind of stuff. And I think that we choose to come here into our 3D so we can combat that. And that makes sense to me right now. Is like the same as the blue beings, but we're just taking on a different role here. And it's a spiritual warfare. And it makes sense to me also based off of like the threads in the Bible and the threads in historical cultures. There's a lot about spiritual warfare and on all fronts, right? So of all the extinct animals and all the things, like there's a lot there. So that's that's where I stand at this moment, is that we're coming here and we are choosing to be in a 3D human form to take on the battle. And in that process, we forget a lot and we have to reconnect because that's part of the battle. But
Mm, yeah. So many things, so many things. Where do I go with this? So for me, I think that, I think that we think that we're more separate than we are. That is the illusion of this 3D reality. And I don't think that we are separate from those blue beings. I don't think that we're separate from, and I know you believe this as well. I don't believe that we're separate from animals. I don't believe we're separate from the earth. It is an illusion that we have willingly decided to be a part of, right? Like this is a part of the matrix, right? So I do think that energetically, as we up level our energy, there is zero reason that we aren't connected, and meaning that we are one with something like a blue being. I'm bringing this up because you were saying I don't think that we can come back as. I don't think that we're separate from. That's where I'm coming from. Like we just are, and we like animals, plants, whatever, everything. The reason that we have things like people that can be telepathic, people that can be telekinetic, is because they've realized. Oh, I'm getting big chills. They've realized that they are connected to that thing that they either want to connect with psychologically or physically, whether it's I want to move this thing telekinetically. They've realized that they are connected to it and that there is an energetic connection with all of it that means that we are one. So I don't know how to say that any differently other than like asking the question too, well, when it comes down to it, why would I choose to have this meat suit as a person, right? Like what would make me choose this particular meat suit? And I do think that we choose the lessons that we want to learn. We choose, and I think it does go back to what I was saying earlier. We choose what are the details that I want to actually see, the minutia of that detail of what, like, for example, you and I, when we look at numerology, we're both 34 sevens, right? So we chose the 7 life path because we wanted to really learn and understand on a minute detail about trust and openness, right? So when I look at my life, I can see the threads of that throughout, where it's like I wanted to learn the deep minutia of that because as I learn that, source understands more deeply. Now, I don't have any opinion on do I come back as a fox? Do I come back as a snake? I literally have no opinion on that because for me, I already am that thing right now, here, right now. I already am because I'm a part, I'm connected. I don't know how to say that any differently. Like it's one of those things like, fuck, when I had that meditation, what is it? 2 months ago at this point, I can't remember. But when I had that meditation where I finished the meditation, I laid down to integrate all the work that I had done. And immediately I went 4D. I was no one, no thing, no time, no place. Immediately went there. I was nothing. And then suddenly I was 5D and I was everything. I wish I could explain that in a way that could logically make sense, but that's not something I could ever give to somebody. It's one of those things that it will fuck your logical brain up trying to like think, oh, I am 5D, I am everything. But the feeling that you get with it is true utter bliss. And you literally, like, the laughter that came afterwards was just like, holy shit, I just am. And I can't say that a rock doesn't have I am power. I can't say that a fox doesn't have I am power, because they do, because it's all connected. And there's an illusion that says that it's not. So that's where I come from with it, where it's like, we are those things. We've been iterations of all of those things too, on some level, because it's just connected with us. So I think that's the best way that I can explain how I look at that, because yeah, it'll mind fuck you. You think too deep about a lot of this stuff, and I will tell you, like, I understand like the conundrum, because this is the conundrum I came to whenever I was a Christian as well. And I would never say right now that I'm even a spiritual person, because I'm just the I am power that's figuring out shit. Like, I don't think that I am necessarily, like, I would never put a label on myself anymore. In the past, I was a Christian. This is what I believed, and this is what I had to believe. Now I'm like, well, let's talk about it. Like what we're doing right now. Like, what actually, in my experience, because we're both going to come at this from our experiences too. When we look at our experiences, that is what creates a lot of the understanding of who we are. But I still think, even though I have those meditations where I'm like, I am everything, do I really understand that? Because I know that there's so much more. And that's how come I say that we decided to incarnate into this planet to learn certain lessons, because we wanted to learn the minute details of it. Like, I could sit in that space of the I am power forever because it feels fucking awesome, but also not understand it all at the same time. I don't know how to explain the polarity of that because it's fucking crazy, but that's literally like the best way that I can explain it. I feel like this is the most mind fuck we've ever gone with this podcast. And I love it.
That's where I'm like, so like if we love sitting in that space, isn't that the space that we're in before we choose to come here? So if we love being in that blissful space, then what would be the reason that we would choose to come here? And it's kind of like for me, in the sense, like when I got rid of everything and moved into a van that I made and all that kind of stuff, I had complete bliss. And then I was like, no, I want more community and all that kind of stuff. I want more purpose, but I had bliss just in being present. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense to me. Like, we leave that good feeling because we have this desire to up level everyone. We have this, there's something in us that wants to help. And like, there's very few people that I can say that don't feel that on some level where they want to be helpful. And I think that we came here to be helpful. We came here to help, not learn. That's the shift that I just went on. I agree with you that we're all connected. Rocks, plants, animals, all of the things. But I'm still a little bit uncertain of if we can reincarnate in that way.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know. I don't have a real strong opinion on that because I honestly don't care. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like that's what it comes down to. Like, I could spend time in meditation and really ask that question, but I don't feel like that is what my purpose is right now, to
Yeah.
figure that shit out. Like, I don't need to know that, because right now my energy is about learning and understanding on a deep, minute level that whole process of trust and openness. And I
Yeah.
know that because a lot of the life lessons that come my way reflect that back to me.
Yeah.
And I will say, in a lot of ways, I have grown so much in that space, and that there are a lot of ways where I know there's more growth to be had. And I think that that's what it comes down to, is that there's always more. And I don't know how to say that any different. There's just always more. There's
Mhm.
always more love. There's always more bliss. There's always more joy. There's always more, like you said, community. There's always more. And so I think that's what it comes down to. Like, how do I create more of that? And I really think that the reason that a lot of us are such curious beings is because we know that there is more. And how can we create more? And I do think that that's the reflection of that infinite intelligence.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's the whole, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we can reincarnate as.
sure. Yeah.
It's like, I really don't think it matters what we were in a past life. Like, a lot of people do past life regression work.
Yeah. I don't think it
Like, I
matters.
really truly think it's one of the most, or the least important
Yeah.
things we can do. I think maybe for some people's journey it might be more important, but I haven't experienced anyone like say like this was so profound and I needed this.
Hmm.
Um, but that's just my current state of awareness. But I think
Yeah.
that understanding purpose is important.
Hmm.
And I've always felt called to help.
Hmm.
And depending on where I was at, that calling was different. But there is this call to help and call to awaken. And when I was a Christian, it was a call to help and bring people to Christ, you know?
Hmm.
Like there is something in us that wants to be helpful,
Hmm.
right? So,
Yeah. And I think
and,
what you
and
said,
expand
and what?
and expand.
Absolutely. I think what you said is literally perfect, because you said, in my current state of awareness. That, I mean, literally, like we're all, that's part of raising our vibration. That's raising our current state of awareness, right? Like, it's, there's always more awareness to be had.
Yeah.
And there's always more. That's why I love having these conversations, because it brings awareness to my eyes of
Mhm.
maybe blind spots that I didn't see, or maybe I can share things that I've experienced that can help somebody else along the way. Go, oh, that makes way more sense. How come this happened for me? Or that makes absolutely no sense. I want nothing to do with that, right? Like, but that's part of learning who we are, in my opinion, is and that's part of the growth that we came for. So and for you, you're like, no, it's about helping. And I think, like, yeah, hand in hand, that's what it is for me too. Like, it's the hand in hand of both of those. So I don't think it's any one thing either, too, that we came here for. I don't think that there's any, like, I don't, even though I say, like, my numerology says that I'm a 34/7, and that 7 is trust and openness. I think there's more lessons to be had around that too, that doesn't even have to do anything with trust and openness.
Oh, for sure.
So I think that, like, there's not one answer to this question. And I think that's also how come the question has never really been definitively answered, because there is no answer. It's
Yeah.
not a thing.
Yeah, I think that like there's like a main like you know there's like the main theme, the main plot, and then there's all the like side quests kind of thing.
Hmm.
Like talking like video games, which is seems to be very popular on TikTok right now too. Like you have your main quest, and I think that that is to be helpful and to be able to help um at your best, you have to be your best. And so that's why we have this desire to expand and to grow and to understand because that's what gives us the power. Like the more we grow, the more power we have. Um and then there's going to be the side quests, right? There's going to be all the things along the way. So, and all the things that we don't realize in our perspective either.
Yeah. Well, who else feels mind fucked? I hope you do. If you don't, I'm sorry. We need to talk for another hour about this. But I think that this is a really good place to kind of leave it off. We're going to call TMI Advice You Didn't Want a wrap for today. So if you're listening on your favorite podcast host, go ahead and give us a 5-star. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are, because I know there's a lot of people out there that want to either add or have other things to say that maybe they disagree with both of us. Maybe they disagree with one of us. I don't know. Let us know. And if you're listening on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are as well. So with that, we're going to call TMI Advice You Didn't Want a wrap for today. Thanks so much for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue hanging out with us, and don't forget to subscribe.